Carlos Prío Socarrás was the president of Cuba from 1948 until he was deposed by a military coup led by Fulgencio Batista on March 10, 1952, 3 months before new elections were to be held. He was the first president of Cuba to be born in an independent Cuba and the last to gain his post through universal, contested elections. Governance. In 1940, Prío was elected senator of Pinar del Rio province. 4 years later, fellow Partido Otero member Ramon Grau became president, and during the Grau administration, Prío served turns as Minister of Public Works, Minister of Labor and Prime Minister. On June 1, 1948, he was elected President of Cuba as a member of the Partido Otero. Prío was assisted by Chief of the Armed Forces General Gino Bebo Perez Damara and Colonel José Luis Chania Cardenas, who had previously been in charge of the province of Santa Clara. The 8 years under Grau and Prío were, according to Charles Ameringa, unique in Cuban history. They were a time of constitutional order and political freedom. They were not golden years by any means, but in 2 elections, Cubans had the opportunity to express the desire for a rule of civil liberties, primacy of Cuban culture, and achievement of economic independence. If there were sharp contradictions in Cuban society under the Auténticos, the circumstances differed only in degree from the complexities and dynamics encountered in free societies everywhere. Prío, called El Presidente Cordial, was committed to a rule marked by civility, primarily in its respect for freedom of expression, several public works projects and the establishment of a national bank and tribunal of accounts count among his successes. However, violence among political factions and reports of theft and self-enrichment in the government ranks marred Prio's term. The Prío administration increasingly came to be perceived by the public as ineffectual in the face of violence and corruption, much as the Grau administration before it. With elections scheduled for the middle of 1952, rumors surfaced of a planned military coup by long-shot presidential contender Fulgencio Batista. Prío, seeing no constitutional basis to act, did not do so. The rumors proved to be true. On March 10, 1952, Batista and his collaborators seized military and police commands throughout the country and occupied major radio and TV stations. Batista assumed power when Prío, failing to mount a resistance, boarded a plane and went into exile. According to Arthur M. Schlesinger, Prío later said of his presidency, "They say that I was a terrible president of Cuba. That may be true, but I was the best president Cuba ever had." Personal life. He first married Gina Carroll and they had one daughter, Rocio Guadalupe Prío Socarrás Carroll. He then married Maria Dolores Mary Tarrero Serrano on June 17, 1945 in the chapel of the Presidential Palace, and they had 2 daughters, Maria Antonieta Prío Tarrero and Maria Elena Prío Tarrero. He also had 2 recognized children with his former mistress, Celia Rosa Tozay, Carlos Prío Tozay and Rodolfo Prío Tozay. His oldest son, Carlos Prío Tozay, is an architect of some prominence. He spent his final years as a developer and businessman in Miami. Prío allegedly committed suicide by gunshot in 1977 while being wanted for questioning by the U.S. House Select Committee on Assassinations. Prío died 1 week after George de Moron Childet allegedly committed suicide while a HSCA investigator was on his way to de Moron Chilt's house to question him. He and his wife Mary are buried at Woodlawn Park Cemetery and Mausoleum in Miami, Florida.